I've never seen him light up like this.
Want to bend and
No fingerprints.
No fingerprints on it. And you hold it like this. This is a record. It's like a giant CD. Hey, everybody, welcome. My name's Kevin, and this is the Riffs and
Rhythms Podcast. I'm Paul Robertson.
What's up, Paul?
Hey, man. So, it's we're reading our cue cards here. Hilarious bits. We'll figure that one out, I guess, eventually. But, yeah, before we jump in here, we had the last episode we talked about. We had the things that we're suffering, that I was suffering from. I'm having a meltdown, can't remember to plug things in and get ready for the podcast. And we realized the Modelo wasn't cutting it. And the fact that we had no more Stoloch left.
It was clear that we were behind the mark because of a lack of Stoloch.
Yes. Well, hold that thought because...
Yeah!
There we go.
Stoloch.
Brand new bottle.
This one was made in the future, too. It'll be made in 2 days on 7/24.
There you go. We're catching up there. So we're going to have to find out more. We don't know what the numbers represent, but it tastes good, though. We do like Stoloch.
Yes. And this is batch number 10 as well.
So, and we may have drinking most of that batch 10, I think.
Number 59. What was the last bottle we had?
It's, do we still have it laying around here? Probably. Probably, because we're slobs.
Well, I feel better already.
We're complete now. So yes. So
would you like to do the honors?
I will do the honor there. So while I'm opening up the sucker there, so let's give her a little bit of your plugs there going on. What do you got here? And because I've got a little plug also before we start off.
We're going to start off with plugs.
Well, all right. I'll go ahead and since you insist.
Thank you.
All right. So there we go. So here we are. If you're watching this episode here. Don't forget, the Key West Rum Festival is coming up August 14th through the 18th. Where else but Key West? And if you want to get tickets there, you can go to the Key West Fest, rumfest.com. And on the grand tasting, don't leave me alone there. I know you're getting all freaked out because I'm trying to peel the sticker off there. Jeez.
You got to be specific about those websites. The Key West rumfest.com. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once there. So sorry, guys. I am trying to multitask.
What she said.
I'm trying to multitask here, and he's judging me here. So,
yes.
But yeah, Key West Rumfest. Go there.com, and you can save $10 off your grand VIP tasting tickets. Save $10 if you use promo code DRUM. So I do have a promo code that if you want to use, save you $10 off. I think the tickets for VIP are like $150. All right, so $10. That's not bad to knock off some savings there. So go check that out. We're going to be down there most of that week there. So stay tuned for a lot of hilarious bits that will definitely come from that. So I will miss you. I know you can't go.
No, I wanted to be there, but I ended up with a show.
He had to make money.
The relentless touring schedule.
So, because, did I want to take money and food out of his mouth or drag him with me to have debauchery and alcohol?
It's a tough choice, honestly.
Well, definitely thanks again to House of Wine, Beer, and Spirits for replenishing our Stoloch whiskey there. This is really good stuff there, so definitely check it out there. Find it, ask for it by name. Tasting yummy. So anyway... So what have we been up to since the last time we spoke, hung out? Was a little bit of, we don't have a whole lot of memory. What happened afterwards? It was how much of the story do we get to tell? Do we protect the innocent a little bit?
Which story are we talking about?
The story of the Sammy Hagar, the ticket giveaway, tailgating bonanza that we held on, right?
That was a party, I can tell you that.
It was, yeah. So definitely give a shout out there to Chris, our good friend Chris from Knox and Dunn. He hooked us up with a prize pack, the giveaway. We talked to a few people there tailgating with us as well. We saw other people we knew. So it was a good little tailgate hanging out. And then we went into the concert. And the first to kick off there was we caught Loverboy, which we didn't think Loverboy was going to make it through the whole set, considering how hot it was and how fat.
Yeah, but I got to say, Mike Reno looks great.
He held up.
I met Mike Reno, and he was much more of himself back then. I think he was just about as wide as he is tall at that point in the 90s. And I didn't. I was telling Tracy I had forgotten this conversation, but I literally told him, I'm like, dude, like you can't smoke any faster than that. Like you gotta slow down. You're gonna die.
Well, you said he smokes like 6 cigarettes at a time.
At the time, he had a roadie, and those old, like a big cigar ashtray, and he had 6 cigarettes. The guy would light them and arrange them just right, and then Mike would just come in and go, and then just like they'd all go right down to the filter that quick, all 6 of them at once.
It's a hell of a diaphragm or lungs to draw that much in.
And he couldn't even make it through a whole song before he had to have 6 more cigarettes. So the fact that he's as healthy and looks as good and is singing as well as he is, I'm really happy.
Yeah. But it sounded really good from the parking lot. I mean, I know we caught a couple songs towards the end.
Yeah, we caught their show. We caught the finale and the best parts of it.
And you also did a PSA also too at the when we got into the before we went up to the lawn.
I did. I just pulled it up on my social media here. It was
so check it out there. So go to Kevin's Facebook page there and check out this video he's talking about. You'll see the public service announcement about going up on the hill of the amphitheater up in the lawn if you're handicapped.
It was more of a personal challenge, actually, to beat the land speed record.
I don't think you could have walked up there, even with good legs as well.
Well, that's a steep incline with a very smooth concrete.
How many people do you think fall down that thing after this show?
Well, judging from the face marks on it, I would say a lot.
So we had a great night there. We saw Sammy Hagar we're not sure, is it Chickenfoot? Was it the Circle? Was it just Sammy Hagar and friends? Seemed like because they didn't call it the Circle. They didn't call it Chickenfoot. Well, Chickenfoot's with Chad, right? But I don't know. I know we've talked heavily about cover bands, tribute bands, and technically some people would say that this was a cover band show. Even though Sammy did,
you can't be a cover band when you wrote the songs.
I don't disagree, right? Okay, and then people complaining on that TikTok video I posted about, well, he played Van Hagar stuff, and then he sung. But you know what? Satch and Bonham came out again, 2 no original members of Van Halen, obviously, and said, look, and Satch had said this, I think, was somebody's got to recognize and celebrate the music of Van Halen. I think that's probably the best way to put it because he's right. Because David Lee Roth's not doing it.
And
David also can't do it right now.
Eddie's not going to do it.
Eddie's not going to do it. And Alex is kind of done with music, right? So
is he really? What's going on with Alex?
Supposedly there's a book coming out about Alex. So something's coming out soon about Alex Van Halen as a book or story or something like that. But there's still, I think, some bad blood between Alex and Sammy. But I've also heard other side stories is that Sammy's done some stuff that kind of, I don't know. Like I said, just go read the TikTok comments. It's just, there's a lot of back and forth on which side of the fence you're on. But I think we said at the concert that there's probably nobody else who could have gotten the respect to play Eddie's parts in guitar other than nobody could knock Joe. If it was anybody else, I don't think they would have gotten shit. But Joe
Satriani, first off, his guitar sound was monstrously good. It was giant. Second off, being Joe Satriani, he's got his own style, his own mark to make. He's his own fans to avoid disappointing. But then he's playing, Sammy Hagar songs, and many of them have Eddie Van Halen playing guitar, so there's a huge responsibility to properly carry that torch as well.
Right.
And I think he did it seamlessly and beautiful. He did justice to the Eddie Van Halen guitar parts while still being Joe. And I was impressed. It was really good. And of course, Michael Anthony is Michael Anthony. His bass playing and his voice are as quintessentially Van Halen as anyone else in the band.
Yeah. So I think that's what it was. I think the video was "Is It Love?" And again, he sung that. I think the whole song. But yeah, very underrated. Michael Anthony. He's up there with underrated people like Ringo. Michael Anthony's definitely yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not affected by it. He's smiling all the way to the bank.
Exactly. He's like, say whatever you want, motherfucker. So, but yeah, so we had a great night. Great hanging out with some fun, some friends of ours as well too. The rain held off typically in South Florida where it normally does in the summertime, but it held off. Hot as, you know what?
I want to address this whole cover band attitude about Sammy Hagar. It's one thing where, like, if Gary Sharon, the singer for Extreme, who sang on one album, all right, if Gary Sharon went out and played, like, early Van Halen music and called it Van Halen, that would be a tribute show. That would be poser-ish. That would be inappropriate at the national level.
I'd agree with that.
Okay?
Yes.
It's something altogether... Exactly. And it's something altogether different to have the guy who either wrote or co-wrote the most commercially successful Van Halen songs ever and sang on them and made them popular and has been promoting them all along to go ahead and sing his own songs that happen to be with Van Halen. And somebody calls that being a cover band? That is absolutely ludicrous.
Though those that don't know, right, like you said there, it's successful, that they were not a number one album until, now there's a debate whether they would have eventually gotten there after 1984, David Lee Roth's last album, and then they became number one on, OU 812, right, would they eventually had it, or was that because Sammy helped them? But look, Sammy has his own catalog. He would have people still showing up to see his own stuff. I would have loved to hear more Montrose stuff or some of his own original. I mean, Sammy's got a catalog on his own.
Yeah, well, and it's likely to be true. I've never looked, but I would estimate that the sales of OU 812 were equal, if not greater, to every other Van Halen album until Sammy got in the band.
I did eat one too.
Good.
Yes.
Was it good?
Yeah, OU 812.
Yeah.
We all did.
I did a couple times.
Right. But no, that's very well said. I 100% agree. Had a great time. I dig Sammy. Sammy puts on a good show. He's got a good vibe. I don't know how that guy, his age, 70, what did we look up? Was 70?
He's 76 or something like
76, and is it like his, I don't know. I mean, I want to be Sammy when I grow up.
Up there kicking it like a 40-year-old.
I know, man. He was out there running in the heat, too. So, yeah. So, we had a great time. So, yeah. So, cheer. Hey, so great hanging out with you guys.
One of the few lead singers on the planet that I actually like and believe I could personally like, Sammy Hagar.
Here, cheers, Sammy. We wish we got to hang out with you at our after party where we enjoyed some nice fine steaks. And we may just leave it there, or we could indulge in part of that conversation there.
No, you got to pay extra for that.
Okay. So go on to our Patreon to find out what we did after the concert there. So, yes, we'll tell you the story there. So
subscribe and find out.
That's right. So anyway, so yeah, so speaking of, nostalgia, it was great, just going back and listening to some great songs and just kind of enjoying, again, as I think we both agree, and what I've always been about when I talk on Drums and Rums is like, let's just go hang up on the hill, listen to some great music, have a couple drinks, and fucking just enjoy everyone who's with us and hanging out in company, and everyone's having a great night. So, but with that nostalgia-ness, I thought I'd talk about this story here, or a topic, about how Kevin and I may have listened to these bands that we were talking about back in the day, when we were much younger, less grayer, and so forth. Growing up, how did you listen to music? So, again, now, we are advanced so far. We've talked on this podcast a lot about streaming music and, what it used to be, what it is today. Is it destroying music? Is artists not getting paid? But how did you listen to music?
Well, first off, by the radio.
Okay.
And then the radio inspired me to buy albums.
What is an album?
Well, an album, we were just watching YouTube videos.
I'm so glad you asked, Kevin. What is an album?
An album is made from polyvinyl something-atate. Basically, it's PVC pressed into, it's like a giant analog CD. Where what you do is, let me go back.
Yeah, I think his eyes lit up when he took it out of the case.
Yes, because
oh my God, he's like nostalgia throwback to the.
So I've had this conversation. Like like drinking, smoking, like doing things that are enjoyable. It's not just about the thing. Sex, absolutely. It's about the process around it. It's about the ritual involved. It's not just about slamming liquor. It's about getting up and hearing the clink of the ice cubes in the glass, pouring it, watching the color of the Stoloch whiskey as the light glints off of it. And, it's a whole, and you smell it. And then you drink it. It's a whole
This is
process.
folks. This is the only thing that comes to mind as he describes what he just said. There was the pouring in glass and ice cubes and so forth. Is alcohol foreplay?
Yeah, baby.
Dino is on cue tonight with his sound effects. I love the Oriental gong that we already talked about. Orientals.
So,
what's happening? Hot stuff.
there was a time, like right now, the only process is you Google it and you press it and it takes you to your Spotify or whatever. There is no process. And it definitely detracts from the music listening experience. What Paul is trying to get me to get to is the process. For me, it started with hearing a song on the radio, talking about it with my friends. And sometimes everybody laughed at me like, oh, you like that song? And so, or it'll be like, oh, yeah, that's really cool. Or you'd have an older brother or a friend who had an older brother with really cool music, and you'd get to listen to stuff you'd never get. So then, second part of the process was to hop on my bicycle. And, it sounds like I'm going to say uphill both ways now that I'm talking about it. But I would hop on my bicycle, ride out to the record store, right? Leaf through the record bins and look for super cool art. And then you could ask the guy at the record store, like, what does this sound like? And he would open it up and like, oh, everybody's asking about this. He would put it on and play it for you. And then you'd be like, oh, that's super cool. Like, how much is that? And you'd buy it. Then you take it home. You open it up. You look at the artwork, and it would transport you to the world that this band and this music creates. You'd pull out of the outer sleeve, and you get the inner sleeve, and then very carefully, without touching any of the actual content.
That's right.
You don't want to bend any.
No fingerprints.
No fingerprints on it. You pull it out. Look at that Casablanca Records. And you hold it like this. This is a record. It's like a giant CD.
I've never seen him light up like this.
And I was a huge Kiss fan as a kid, so this is. And then you put it on, and then it spins, and you put the needle on, and it actually there's dents and vibrations in here, and there's a pickup that moves like this, and it turns the grooves back into music, and you listen to it through the speakers, and it's a whole process. And part of the process was you'd listen to every song on the first side, sit around and talk about it, then you'd flip it over. And there'd be music on the other side. You put that on and listen to that, and then you talk about that. Like nowadays, I go to parties where the kids are at. They don't even they get to their favorite line in the song, and then they switch it to another song. I know I'm sounding like an ancient fogey, but that was the process.
I think what was really interesting, Kevin, is like if you listen to what always gets me is the Tom Petty song. God, I'm drawing a blank now on the song. It's one where he says at the end of the song, he goes, okay, for you CD listeners, just hang tight. And because those listening on cassette, they have to get up, open up, hit stop and eject and flip the tape over. So basically he was making fun of, it was at that transition period of technology was happening where he made a reference to, and I'm drawing a blank on the song. We'll try to remember it, but it's actually to your point about the talking about. But I think here, as you mentioned there, Kevin, right, is this is not original. I did pick this up. I've had this for probably quite some time. I didn't have this originally, but as Kevin described here, you open this up and this is what you see, right? I mean, Kiss of all bands, the spectacle and everything, you put it in there. If you think of your kid, in the 70s, 80s, listening to the music and just looking at this and pyro and the stage show, and you're just kind of listening to this music and you're just imagining being there. That's why they did that whole movie, the Kiss movie. The kids were trying to go to the Detroit Rock City.
The Phantom?
No, Detroit Rock City.
I know, that's the one I never saw.
Okay, you'll like it. It's very nostalgic. But then this one happens to be a double album. So So you've got 2 albums out of that, and yeah, the Kiss Alive.
Yeah, and at this point in my life, I'd never even been to a concert, so I'm seeing this Kiss stage production, and I'm like, wow, that's cool.
Full Moon Forever.
Full Moon Fever? Full Moon Fever is the song you're talking about.
Okay. So
Yeah, and it was just a huge thing. It was much more of a tactile process than what goes on now.
And again, if you'd have to, I know it's hard to see in the camera, but when you're looking at this cover of the Kiss Alive 2 album, right? Because it did 3. I don't think they did more than that, right? Or did they do a 4?
I know they did a 3. I don't know.
So we'll ask our off-air people to do a fact check for us. But when you look at that, it's like Kiss Alive 2, and then you see pictures of
It's
the
1978 that album came out.
Well, Dino wasn't even born yet, so not even close, right?
5 years.
Okay. This is why your mom didn't want you to have anything to do with Kiss, because you see Gene Simmons' face, right? So Gene Simmons used to be cool.
Yeah, but then the thing that came out was Tipper Gore. Where they decided that they should protect the children from foul language on records, and they put a parental guidance warning on here, which
only helped sell more music.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Because what I saw was, your parents are going to hate it if you buy this, and so of course it didn't stop anybody from buying it.
So I think for me is I remember that a lot more on cassettes, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And when cassettes came out after albums,
I wore this thing to the nub. This is my Walkman. Yes, I still have my Walkman from when I was in high school, so we're at least talking 30 years. I put new batteries in it. Look, it lit up.
Oh, wow.
Now,
this thing actually functions.
Now, hold on.
Cassette in there?
No, I tried. There is a cassette in there, but I didn't hear the motors moving. So I'd be one of those interesting, you open it up and see if you can actually get it to work again. But this was high tech, kids, and
it was revolutionary.
It was because I
called it a Walkman because you could actually walk around with your
put in your denim jacket, and you had your headphones on, and
back in those days, a stereo system was like the size of a mini fridge.
And here, all the buttons. You have presets. You listen to the radio. There's a radio. You listen to AM, FM, and then the tape.
Oh, that was the deluxe Walkman.
Oh yeah, I know.
The one I had didn't have a radio in it, just tape.
And look, I didn't even have to take the tape out because I had a little green button that did a flip over here to do the other side. Now, what was super cool was because it actually then would play the other side without taking it out. I had dropped it one time, and whatever happened to it, it actually turned into devil music.
It went backwards?
It went backwards.
Your playback head was misaligned.
It was off, and it started playing the music backwards whenever I hit the button. So yeah, exactly. Yes, because of that, I was compelled to kill people and things like that, sacrifice things. But yeah, I like I said, I dug through this, and man, all the time. The other thing is too, right? Today, as we talk about, right, something like this, the albums, right? This is not portable. But it's great. Probably, and people still say the best quality of sound that comes from anything recorded.
It is debatably, yes.
Right.
And according to scientists, it's no different, but it is definitely very different sounding.
So then you go to cassettes. Now, of course, we're going to skip over 8-track because 8-track was still a more based for vehicle, right? And at home, maybe.
It was less there were home 8-track players, but it wasn't popular for very long.
It didn't take. But again, everyone kind of remembers the 8-track era. And then cassette came out in the cars, and then you get the Walkmans, you get these different versions, and then, carrying tapes, right? So that would be the one thing. You're always carrying your favorite 3 tapes that you would always listen to when you're in high school or you're listening to your music. So yeah, so the people complain about today, so parents or people that have kids today, you all had music. You didn't have an iPhone maybe, but you were at least carrying around something in your pocket that was distracting. Nothing compared to an iPhone today, but still.
These advances in technology are supposed to be make things better, and in many ways they do. But in many ways they don't, because the process around listening to music has been lost. Like many people argue that since the information boom of the internet, finding facts about anything is harder than it's ever been.
So here's the tape that I put in there for you tonight.
Oh, the best of the Doors.
That's a great.
Serious 60s music right there.
Yeah.
Okay,
I couldn't find my 2 Live Crew tape. I do have a 2 Live Crew
Do you really?
with the explicit lyric on it.
Ooh, very good explicit lyric warning.
So we went through that, for a good part of the 80s and then probably later 80s. And then all of a sudden, I remember the first time Christmas in the late 80s, early 90s, we've got a home stereo that actually had the compact disc, right? So now that's changing everything, right? So
Yeah, people unloaded all their albums and repurchased them in compact discs. The Discman. We went from Walkman to Discman.
So
Look at the dust on this.
that's authentic dust.
This looks like some archaeologists' brush marks on here, too.
So again, Discman, open up, play, put batteries in, carry it around.
You put your disc in it?
I put my disc in it.
Okay.
Yes, you just wanted me to say that.
I did.
And again, too, great little, player, different, So there, there's a couple things here, and then, lastly.
Oh, and I want to say, when part of the argument about CDs not sounding as good as records was back then, the mastering process, the digital conversion units were lower quality than they are now. The mastering process, and when they took the vinyl press, like the vinyl masters, and they transferred them to CD for mass production, the sound just wasn't as good. It wasn't because of the technology. It was because it was the mastering. It was the transfer process. It was far thinner sounding back then, but that was the early '80s, mid '80s.
Well, it almost seems like when we were kids and we a friend of ours has a cassette tape that we didn't have and we bought. It's kind of like the same thing happened with CDs, right? You burn CDs or copy tapes. You weren't supposed to copy tapes, and if you had a dual disc. Do you ever have a dual disc or a dual tape deck?
Dual tape deck. You could record You could record from one cassette to another. Right. You could do it at double speed. You could record off the radio onto a cassette.
Oh man, you
could record from your album, your record onto a cassette and take it with you.
I wish I still had that boombox that I had. A very similar style as that. Two cassette tapes and so forth. But so we went from this and then a little bit of a period. Then comes the early 2000s, early 90s. This was my first foray into a MP3 player right here. So this probably came out right during the boom of the Napster era,
the D-Link,
and this was iPhones weren't even a necessary thing yet.
It's got an SD card slot. I don't know if I've ever heard of a D-Link.
Yeah, it's just they're just a company that makes like battery or storage or
I think it was the iPod.
Well, right. I didn't have
the big pioneer.
I didn't have an iPod. I didn't bring my like one of the very first iPods. Right. So again, folks, your kids, mostly probably are older that are listening, watching us. There was things before that. There was a separate device. I think Christian, they still make, Dino, whatever we're going by tonight, are they still making iPods?
I have seen a few, just not the same that they used to be, but I remember, I used to also have, an old disc Walkman and the uncomfortable headsets with, the freaking...
The foamy, the
the one that had, that weird curl, and it hurt right here every time. It's I need to take these off.
Yep. So yes, I don't know if they may. Yeah, so they may probably still do. Apple still makes an iPod, but yeah, you can store. So you can take that entire album plus and store it onto. So
that's the other thing too is even Apple iTunes. The first version of iTunes was great. It was super flexible. People took their entire CD collections and recorded it into iTunes. You could cloud source from other people to get listen to that. There was a button where you could make your library available to anybody else who wanted it. there was tons of stuff. You'd have to go to the IBDM website or All Music
Oh, yeah.
and download the album art to go with it.
And the tags that you had to put.
Tags you could put it on.
Yeah.
You could do stuff with iTunes. Now you can't even do anything with iTunes. Like you can't even do anything. All you can do is listen to Apple Music.
I get
OMG.
right. And I kind of feel sometimes a little bad that because of how simple music is. Like, and we've talked about like a lot of the guests we've had on the show, how technology, Spotify, streaming is like where does it put itself? But sometimes as a listener, yeah, it is very convenient. I got in a car the other day, and whatever my iPhone was plugged in, the music that was playing, my playlist or whatever was saved, because now I do subscribe to Apple's music subscription, right? And it was like 2 songs back to back, not even related to each other, nowhere near. But I'm like, yeah, this is great. Again, it just fit my genre, or not my genre, but my style of music. What's in my playlist, and I have a very wide variety of the playlist music styles. And stuff.
Yeah, so the algorithms have gotten really good at predicting what you'd like.
Right.
Like the first one that was really good at that was Pandora.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, they're still out there. Pandora's
still there, but you could just put one song in, and then Pandora's algorithm you could play songs days on end, and they were all in the same wheelhouse as that one song. And now that most of them are really good at that, but it's for music discovery, it's definitely a plus.
Let me see what I may have recently played here. I'm just trying to look to see. I don't want to kind of derail us too much, but I got in a car yesterday morning to go to work, Monday morning, and what comes on is Kix, Light My Fire.
No kidding.
I was like, yeah, again, that is
they existed.
Well, no, well, I don't have no idea what's going on with that.
Good band.
Great band. I mean, the song, it was a CD from like the late 80s, early 90s, but it was under that Blow My Fuse, I think, CD, but that was a great album. Just the sound of it, the recording of it. And then I don't remember now whatever the next song was. Oh. It was like an 80s R&B song. Shit, now I'm going to remember. I'll try to remember the song. But it was like it totally swung in a different direction. And then third song after that was Youth Gone Wild by Skid Row. So again,
oh, wow.
That's kind of where my genre of certain things is. So I'll try to remember what the R&B song was. But anyway, so these are, again, I thought it was just kind of a little interesting, kind of do walk down some memory lane here with our, what Kevin and I used to listen to and kind of those that aren't familiar with some of these technologies that exist, everything from basically this device to things like this, where it was a hell of a lot harder to, you got a little SD card, right? That's a whole shocking thing that it was an SD card at the time, right? Again, this probably came out in early 2000s, and you store all your stuff on there, right? iPod, wannabe. Then to walking this around, and I think this was a 8 times oversampling dual QA converter system compact player mega bass. I had mega bass on this one.
Mega bass.
Again, anti-skipping on your stuff, right? Because that's an important thing.
Anti-skipping, yes. As a matter of fact, CDs do have a lot of redundant information in case it skips.
And then obviously, our Walkman right there, going backwards there, even further there. You can charge it up. You got your batteries in there, all the ports and jacks. It's still amazing though. The one thing though that I find interesting is that jack.
We're still using the 1/8-inch stereo connector.
Still today, that still does exist, right? It's amazing.
Everything almost.
So, the phones have changed a little bit still, and then all the way back to the albums and so forth. So, yeah, little fun, little nostalgia walk down memory lane.
Yeah, well, we were just watching a bunch of videos on YouTube about how records are made, what they're made of, and watching the video of them actually pressing records, making the original. Cutting the record on the original, and then making the molds and then pressing it. It's a really cool process.
So, do you remember what your first album was?
I do, actually. My first album was a cassette, and I think it was like 5th or 6th grade. It was a used cassette. I bought Kiss Alive. That was my first album I ever bought.
Kiss Alive 1, 2?
1.
1, okay. Yes. There's a whole story about that, the whole Kiss Alive albums, which is awesome. If you don't know the stories about Kiss Alive albums, actually pretty ingenious, I guess I should say, right? Yes,
They
have
caught
really
a lot of
helped.
flack for doing the things that they did, but
Right.
now those things are commonplace.
And if it wasn't for that, they may not even been around, really, possibly.
Oh, that's an aspect of the story I wasn't familiar with. Well, their first 3 albums came out in 18 months. And then Kiss Alive came out of maybe 2 or 2.5 years after they released their first album.
But I think what the story was from Kiss Alive, the first one was everyone was like, it was one of those like, these are guys, you have to see these guys live. They were a live band, right? The songs maybe weren't translating so much initially. So Kiss Alive, they had this brilliant idea was to put out a live album that wasn't really a live album, but they called it a live album. They put in fake crowd roar.
Well, it was a live album, but they replaced a lot of parts. They put in extra crowd noise. They had studio musicians come in and do stuff, and it was authentic to what they do
To an extent, right, yeah.
And it sounds, totally convincing. It was live, but it wasn't a single night. It was multiple shows. There was studio stuff put in there, and so yeah, they caught a lot of flack for that. But nowadays, those things are commonplace.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
So yeah, it definitely got some. There was some noise about that whole thing.
Yep,
It
for
was
sure.
Eddie Kramer that was the live. He was the engineer for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they recorded maybe 4 or 6 nights, and they took the best takes of all the songs, and then they doctored them up from there.
Here it is. Kiss enlist today. Kiss Army. Send $5 cash, check or money order to Kiss Army Headquarters, Department A1, 6400 Varial Avenue, Woodland Hills, California. So I'm sure today the Kiss, you probably could still send your money to be part of Kiss Army. Did we talk about this? Did you sign up to be part of the Kiss Army?
I don't think I ever did.
No.
I wasn't going to mail my $5 to California and hope for the best.
He was too busy trying to get the stuff off the cereal boxes by cutting out the UPCs. It's sending his money order for sea monkeys or something.
Yeah, sea monkeys. I bought some sea monkeys, but they died.
So anyway, so I think that's kind of an interesting evolution of again the history of something. Who knows what's going to happen next? Right?
It's going back to vinyl. Vinyl sales are outperforming CD sales at this point. And it's been a slow rise, vinyl. Of course, most people who buy music never even buy it.
Yeah.
They just listen to it. They subscribe to it. So those who do buy music, more people actually use the vinyl medium than the CD medium.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a trend that's going to continue.
So, but every trend goes back, and the next thing happens. What could the next thing? I don't know what.
I don't know. The thing that we were watching, whoever it was said that this is the first time that a recording medium has ever had a resurgence.
Really?
Because, who's going to go back to 8-tracks? No.
I wouldn't even venture right. Is this? I don't think, even these two, as great as they were at the time, the portability, right?
You can buy these 25 of them for $1 on eBay, I think.
So these things here, the Walkman, right, and your Discman, you're probably, again, when I was growing up in high school, long hair, anyone who was carrying these around were not getting laid because they didn't have a car. Because if they had a car, they wouldn't need a Walkman to actually play and listen to music in the car. So.
Yeah, but if you got this long before you had a car, you're still cool.
I guess that's possible. So I was just trying to let people feel bad about me. That
it's not going to work.
Okay. So send your, for those that are sad that I was a lonely high school kid with long hair, send your panties to the. There you go.
Please don't.
Somebody just got trucked. Oh, okay. So, all right. So I think we covered some of our hilarious. We talked about what we've been up to at the concert and so forth, and then we have to make sure you check out the Patreon about our little story post-concert from the Sammy Hagar concert.
There is something coming up that I'd like to promote.
Sure.
That and it's going to become the topic for our next show.
Ooh.
It's where can you find a decent independent act in Florida that's got music out that wants to do a show. I'm expecting that there was going to be tons of them that wanted gigs. I started something called the Rising Star Series.
Oh, okay.
Super cool.
Whoa.
It's going to be a monthly event in Arcadia, Florida, at the historic Heard Opera House. And I'm the headline act for the first show, of course.
Because you're a rising star.
It's my concert series. So, but then the next one, the second month, I'm having trouble getting a band that wants to come and play. So if I'm going to do a shout out right now. If you are a Florida band that is an unsigned independent artist that has its own original music already out in any form, contact us. And we would like to work on making you a part of our concert series.
What type of music? Let me ask there.
Well, let's rock.
Rock. Okay. All right. So let's go there. Rock. What level of rock?
What level?
Like, rock is a very wide spectrum of rock.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I'm not going to limit it too much.
Okay. So again, maybe, and these guys may be part of our other thing.
I know who you're going to say.
Okay.
Definitely already thought of them.
I'm not going to tease you. You guys got to figure this shit
They
out
have
for
a
yourself.
color in their name.
That's very true, right? The Purple People Eaters.
No, it's
They
not.
might actually be,
Yeah, they'll be down. I'm going to give them a call.
Okay. Yeah.
But, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Okay. So, any special website? How do people check this out, or how do they reach out though? To
You've got to go to the Riffs and Rhythms. What do we have? We have a, we have a
page.
website.
We have a website,
All right, riffsandrhythms.com.
something like that.
Go to Instagram and look up Riffs and Rhythms. Hashtag Riffs and Rhythms. Whatever, find us. And, of course, it's a whole brand new thing. I don't have a lot of online infrastructure for it yet, but I have made a poster.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, we can figure this out.
Yeah. And the first show is in October. Second show is the 30th of November.
Okay.
We need a band for the 30th. I believe I've got a warm-up act. So the procedure is going to be like an acoustic warm-up act and a band.
Okay.
And this place, the Heard Opera House, the historic Heard Opera House. So Arcadia, Florida is like the epicenter of antiquing.
Oh,
Like literally
it's
this
old Florida.
This
for
neighborhood
sure. Yeah.
looks like if there was
Willows.
such a thing as Antique World at Disneyland, this would be it. It looks like it was manufactured to look that cool.
It is. I guess because we live on the East Coast, I don't know. It is such a slower pace when you go to like the middle of the state there, like through Arcadia. It's a different, but it's like it's so cool. That's kind of how part of old Florida is, right? And
So
you
this
know
is-
because you're old and you were born here.
So this is such an old downtown area that the highway, the main road actually bypasses it. But they've got haunted opera house tours.
Ooh.
Apparently it's haunted. And, it really is cool. So it's going to turn out to be a big deal. There are, like, really cool hotels, like, right on the same block. It's not that far from Tampa.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's not that far from the bustling metropolis of Okeechobee, Florida. And so centrally located right near the middle of nowhere. And so it's going to be really convenient for everyone who lives in the middle of nowhere.
That's right. They're not far from Peace River. There's a lot of camping and canoeing and things like that.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No, I had no idea.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway.
There's a campground near there if you're
Yeah,
camping.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So check out the Riffs and Rhythms page. There we'll have information out there about that, how to sign up, how to be part of it, and okay. So
Yeah, so technically this is pre-release inside information.
Say, this is why you tune into
only
this.
through this episode right here.
right. So I actually do have an announcement too.
Okay.
I just got informed on Sunday that, speaking with our good friend and our gratuitous mention of the Jams and Cocktails Brad Brock production crew and series, that he asked to be part of our audio channel. The Jams and we're going to add the Jams and Cocktails audio stream channel podcast onto the Drums and Rums show. So we will have 3 shows running under the audio channel format. What that might mean is a renaming of the channel that you're listening to on audio, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, etc. As right now, it's currently Drums and Rums podcast channel when you look it up. But we may go ahead and rename this. Drums and Rums still going to exist. Riffs and Drums is still going to exist. And Jams and Cocktails will be added to our news stream. Now, they have a live stream show every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. But we talked a little bit on Sunday. Saw our good friend Brad, the Sneaky Tiki. And we got a little bit of things going on.
Way cool.
So I know I just sprung that right on you there.
Yeah. So we're going to use your new corporate umbrella name for that?
I think we might. Yes.
Very cool.
Yes. So yes. So stay tuned to that. So I want to just throw it out there. And there's a whole lot we're going to have to really promote, get the word out there to a lot of existing listeners of the obviously Drums and Rums, listeners, the Riffs and Rhythms like you guys are listening to right now. You're hearing this for the first time. So just stay tuned with us. As long as you still stay subscribed, you may see a different logo show up soon. You may see a different name. You're all of a sudden you're in your app streaming for podcasts. But
so don't be alarmed. Your favorite podcast is still here.
Yeah, we're just changing your name.
It's going to have a different corporate umbrella.
That's right. Right.
As we grow.
We're a bit like Prince, like the podcast formerly known as. That's how we should exactly how we say it. The podcast channel formerly known as. We'll have a symbol. Dick and balls.
Is it this symbol right here?
Dino's got real comfortable with the sound effects, man. He was. I think he felt very, very confident after last week's praises that he got from Russ and Dez. So,
yeah, nice getting all over it now. Well, cool. Yeah. I'm excited.
So so we look to grow more, bring some more channels or podcast shows onto the audio format, grow out the audio channel there, help grow maybe some sponsors advertising across the entire thing. Obviously, things that are shows that are very related to what we're all doing here, the music or spirits and booze and together having a good time, just hanging out.
You've been a little bit on the mumble mouthy side today. I think you should have another shot.
I think I should. Yeah. So.
Another shot of Stoloch whiskey.
Stoloch.
It's really good stuff.
So there we go. So that's my, secret or not secret, but special bulletin breaking news, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Inside information.
Inside information, right. So, yes. So I think we hit all our things. We talked about our Tales from the Road there. We talked about
what was it? The Sammy show, was that our Tales
Sammy
from the Road?
show, yes, Tales from the Road.
Tailgating from the road.
Tailgating from the road, that's right, from the, I think, amphitheater there. So we'll send you the check.
Yeah, when I got there, Paul's got a tailgate party going. People had brought a bunch of chairs. He was surrounded by people. He's holding up a whiskey bottle and a rum bottle. Knocks and done. Everybody was, unable to really breathe properly because his great presentation, and I'm not even being... I'm not exaggerating.
We had a great time. We had a tent. We had our tent up there.
A tent up, yeah.
We had so many people jelly that we had gotten there in an advanced enough time to get a good spot to set up because the sun was at 5 o'clock and the sun beating down in South Florida there from the west. So we got a really good spot. We covered up our tent. We covered up the truck.
Yeah, close enough to the stage. You can text yelling at each other.
Paid my $60 for VIP parking.
Yeah, probably worth it. What do you think?
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't want to schlep all the way out from the boonies. So I'm like, all right, let's. It's sometimes it does pay to pay a little extra for those kinds of things. So I know the missus definitely wouldn't have wanted to schlep all there. She would have been the one paying the $60 if I.
Although, that is an awesome profit source. We're in this long line where people are handing cash to this. They got 4 people in 2 lanes. Boom, 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 boom. We get up there, it's $60. I'm like, well, you guys just made $480 in the last 32 seconds.
Oh, I know. And we're in the wrong business.
Yeah,
is what it is, man.
I'm gonna go be a parking lot attendant.
Well, no, you want to own the parking lot.
Oh, there you go.
That's right. Yeah,
that's.
Then
better.
you hire a couple.
Hire an attendant.
Yes, hire the people for $10 an hour.
And they have to like you because they have all your cash in their hand.
No, they don't. Did they? You guys gave cash? No, it's all digital now. Yeah, no, but that place doesn't take any cash anymore.
Oh well, then then we don't have. You don't have. They don't have.
You're not going to get mugged or whatever for your digital money or whatever the case may be. So
get thrown in the back of the truck and do a donut and run out the other way.
But you know what? That's what we talked about was we could just definitely go and tailgate at places and just like either put on a show or, like our good friend Chris from Knox and Dunn. Again, thanks again, Chris, for, sponsoring the ticket giveaway there and hooked us up with some.
Oh, that's a great idea. We could do a truck bed concert.
You could. We could do a little Kevin McLaughlin and Riffs and Rhythm show. We don't need to go to the concert. We just hang out. And then after we're done and people start going in, then we can go start our after party early at the place that you have to find out on Patreon where we went.
Oh, we could go there during the concert and then come back on the out and do another tailgate.
Exactly,
show.
Right. Yeah, for people hanging out in the parking lot, right?
I really like that idea.
Sell merch, right? Give away free booze. We'll hook up with, maybe Stoloch or Knox and Dunn or whoever may be to kind of give out some booze.
There you go.
So,
that sounds like a plan.
We will go to work. We're going to work on it here. So, all right. Well, anyway, so I think that was our Tales on the Road there. So I don't think we have an MVP. Do we have an MVP of the week there?
We didn't mention one.
Do we have one?
I'm not quite prepared for that.
All right, so
do it next week.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, you know what? Well, I'm gonna give this music shout out because we just talked about him there. So I'm gonna give our House of Wine, Beer, and Spirits MVP of the week there to Chris Hall from Knox and Dunn there. So thank you, Chris, for hooking us up there, for helping us out. Again, I know Chris is super into music as well. He might be interested in with this Arcadia thing. So we can talk a little bit more about that. So there might be something.
They got a beer only license, so.
Oh shit! All right. We'll have to figure out. All right, we'll figure it out then. So, but yeah. So Chris Hall, Knox and Dunn, thanks again for supporting us in our ticket giveaway there. Congrats again to Mike Dorr. He won our tickets there for the giveaway. So we had a great time. So sometimes I had too good of a time, and then I had a Sunday, and then I had to fly out to California, and I was exhausted. Anyway, so anything to kind of shameless plug wrap up here before we get going here? We got Elsie. I know you mentioned the Arcadia thing, Riffs and Rhythm Fest. We have a lot that we still have to plan and talk about that.
Yeah, R&R Fest has got a lot of details to work out, but that'll be
November 23rd.
Yes, thank you.
At Hope Sound Farmers Market there, I-95 and Bridge Road there. So I think it's gonna be a great time of the year. In November, it's gonna be nice and cool. The weather's gonna be great. We're looking to have some original music there. We've got a couple bands already kind of had committed to being part of it. We're still working on some details, so more to come on that. I think I'm really looking forward to this.
Yes, we've got full nude servers and a seminar on false advertising.
Yes. So, Dino, are you going to be there?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Oh, wow. Way to be non-committal.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
This guy's enthusiasm is knocking me out.
Yeah, he already was kind of giving you the roundabout earlier, too. It was like, I maybe kind of sort of may be there.
Dino's getting to know us, and he gets enough of us here.
He's like, I don't want to be around these fucking assholes.
People are
anything
gonna
more
get
than I have
arrested
to.
is what he
Anything
said.
more than I'm getting paid to be. Oh, wait, you're not getting paid. I forgot about
His
that
parents
part.
are like, I watched that show. Don't go anywhere with those people.
Don't get in any vans with those guys.
But it's legit. I got lots of candy in the van.
Let's give a shout out there to our good buddy here. As he said, we got his cards here. They're Crisora Productions there. So check out Christian De Verona, their videographer, writer, editor. So check out his website there. We'll post it there. Well, if you watch the show all the way to the end, you actually see his link and so forth. So check it out there. So Christian does some video taping for your show. He's our videographer and producer and whatever else title you want from the show too, right? So we're going to work on
the official videographer for the It's About Time album release party.
So as long as I don't hope that at some point you're like, you feel like you're stuck here and you can't say no to, you don't want to be here anymore, but you can't kind of commit to breaking up with us. Okay. If he just
he's shaking his head, but it's not very
he's saying this and nodding his head. And when he ghosts us, that's when we'll know.
It's like the cue card girl who held up a cue card that said, "You guys have never paid me. I quit."
Right. And as long as he doesn't silent quit, right? So anyway, all right, so folks. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode here. Again, we went a little nostalgia. Hope you enjoyed one of our solo episodes here. Again, we didn't have a guest this week, but sometimes I think these are kind of fun. I have a good conversation with you and I about certain topics and things to talk about, and kind of a little bit chiller vibe on it. So yeah, so definitely check out the Riffs and Rhythms podcast there on YouTube. Make sure you hit the bell. Thank you. And also follow us on our podcast channel. More to come about this change that I just talked about a little bit ago. But check out
but wait a minute. You know what? I've been my newest version of YouTube doesn't even have a bell. It just has a big black subscribe button.
That means you haven't subscribed to us then.
No, when I'm when I'm looking at people that I haven't subscribed to.
Oh, okay. You mean you weren't talking about our own show?
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't talking about us. I have subscribed. We have at least me as a subscriber. I know.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's go ahead and put the shovel down and end this thing.
Let's get this over with here. I think we're definitely a little bit over our time anyway. So, man, it's amazing how much we talk by ourselves, right? All right. Anyway, so check out all of our stuff. You know what to do. Check out the description. Check out all the links and so forth. So let's just shut the fuck up and let's get out of here.
All right. Shut the fuck up and get out of here, Paul. This is the Riffs and Rhythms podcast. I'm Kevin and
I'm Paul. Cheers.
Let's never stop this before. We have nothing to talk about.